This is CBS News New York.
But I know we can turn the city around. And I believe I can help. I will stand up and fight for New York.
Breaking news at 7, former Governor Andrew Cuomo relaunches his political career, entering an already crowded field of candidates for New York City's next mayor. So what does this mean for Mayor Adams and the state of the race? And New York civil rights icon Dr. Hazel Dukes has died. The tributes pouring in as we look back at her life and legacy. Plus, another shocking sight in the skies above Newark. A cargo plane's engine catches fire mid-air, forcing it to make an emergency landing. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jessica Moore. We begin with that major political development as Andrew Cuomo enters the mayor's race with a direct address to New Yorkers. In a video released on his website, Cuomo says he made mistakes, learned from them, and is committed to fighting to save the city. Cuomo was first elected governor of New York in 2010. He was then re-elected to the state's highest office twice more in 2014 and 2018. He then stepped down in 2021 amid allegations of sexual harassment. Political reporter Marcia Kramer is breaking down what this means for the race.
After leading in the polls for months, former Governor Andrew Cuomo officially entered the race to replace Eric Adams as mayor with a direct address to New Yorkers in which he reeled off a litany of problems facing the city: mentally ill homeless, empty storefronts, graffiti, the influx of migrants, and random violence.
These conditions exist not as an act of God, but rather as an act of our political leaders, or more precisely, the lack of intelligent action by many of our political leaders.
The former governor, who racked up a number of accomplishments while in office, from rebuilding LaGuardia Airport and the Moynihan train station to legalizing same-sex marriage, was also candid about the fact that during his time in public service, he made mistakes.
Did I always do everything right in my years of government service? Of course not. Would I do some things differently, knowing what I know now? Certainly. Did I make mistakes? Some painfully? Definitely. And I believe I learned from them and that I am a better person for it. And I hope to show you that every day.
Cuomo enters a race in which he will have to face off against Mayor Eric Adams and a large field of progressives who have been campaigning for months. Experts say he will have an immediate effect on the race.
It upends the race, for sure, Marcia. You know, you're going to see a lot of people now scrambling. Either are they going to get in the race? Are they going to be the anti-Cuomo candidate? And other candidates are going to see their money dry up. What do you do when the man at the top of the polls is leading by double digits?
Expecting his entry, several of Cuomo's opponents were already on the attack. Comptroller Brad Lander issuing a video that reminded New Yorkers that Cuomo was forced to resign his office.
Andrew Cuomo is not the answer to Eric Adams. We can't trade one corrupt chaos agent for another. The answer is Brad Lander.
I want to tell you about who we're running against. A guy who cut Medicaid and stole money from the MTA.
He sent many of our grandparents to nursing homes during the pandemic to die.
I want New York to not only survive, but for New York to thrive.
Andrew Cuomo is a man who plays political chess 20 moves ahead. Did he expect the attacks? Yes. Will he be ready with answers? Yes. But now he has to convince New Yorkers that he is the man who can fight for the city and stand up to Washington. He has nearly 4 months to do it. The Democratic primary is June 24th. I'm Marcia Kramer, CBS News, New York.
And we did reach out to the Adams campaign, but they have so far not issued a response. Stay with CBS News New York as voters decide in the race for New York City mayor. For a look at the candidates running so far, head to cbsnewyork.com. Dr. Hazel Dukes, iconic civil rights leader and president of the New York NAACP, has died. She was 92 years old. For decades, Dukes stood beside some of the most powerful politicians and activists across the country, and she was a trailblazing legend in her own right. Christy Kalishian has a look back at her storied life, accomplishments, and how she's being remembered tonight.
Dr. Hazel Dukes was better known as Queen Mother or Ma Dukes to advocates who followed in the path of advocacy she blazed in her more than 7 decades in civil rights activism, serving as president of the NAACP New York State Conference. She died on Saturday morning surrounded by family. Her son Ronald Dukes writing in a statement, quote, "Mom was a committed civil rights leader in New York City and the nation and worked tirelessly on the front lines almost to the end." Reverend Al Sharpton, founder and president of the National Action Network, of which she was an active member, says he knew her for 55 years and last spoke with her on Thursday.
She was weak and somewhat conclusive that her work was done. We will never be able to have another Hazel Dukes, but thank God we knew the one we did have.
Reverend Sharpton says Dukes would often come here to the National Action Network's House of Justice, sometimes even unannounced.
She came here a couple of months ago. She had a walker, and I never saw her in a walker. And she had a nurse with her. There'll always be a missing seat for Hazel Dukes.
An outpouring of tributes from lawmakers, activists, and other public figures throughout the day Saturday, including from Mayor Adams, saying, quote, "New York City has lost a giant, but heaven has gained a warrior." One of the last times we saw Dukes was in September of last year, when she shouted down hecklers while announcing her support for Mayor Adams through his indictment on federal corruption charges.
Would you be quiet? Would you shut up? He's going to have his day in court, and we're going to stand by him.
She was one of few women to serve as national president of the NAACP and presided over its New York conference starting in 1977. The organization saying, quote, "Despite her many titles and distinctions, she often described herself simply as a servant of the people." Flags are ordered to be flown at half staff across the city, and similar orders are in place in Nassau County. Hempstead Mayor Waylon Hobbs.
She has fought hard. Now she gets her rest, but she'll never be forgotten in our community or in our nation.
She was born in Montgomery, Alabama, the birthplace of the civil rights movement, then moved to Roslyn in North Hempstead, Long Island in 1956, where she advocated for housing equity and became the first black woman to work for the Nassau County Attorney's Office.
My dad was a really civil rights advocate without knowing it. He was always talking about things that was not right.
She served as national president of the NAACP in 1989, but lost re-election in the 90s after pleading guilty to embezzling money from the bank account of a woman who suffered from leukemia, Velma McLaughlin, who had given Dukes power of attorney. Dukes valiantly defended herself.
I'm still worthy of all the things that I've done and I am doing.
She was then removed from the NAACP's National Board of Directors, but in 1999 became president of the NAACP's New York State Conference. Activists like Jamie Bland with the National Action Network say it's almost providential that Dr. Dukes died on the first day of Women's History Month.
She was NAACP, and she will always be here in the spirit.
Dukes' family says funeral service plans are soon to be announced. In Harlem, Christy Kalishian, CBS News, New York.
And Dr. Dukes sat down with me last summer for one of the final on-camera interviews of her life. I was struck by her humility, her zest for life, and of course, that megawatt smile. She had just helped Kamala Harris secure the Democratic nomination for president. And while Harris didn't win in November, Dukes told me she still believed the future was female. Do we underestimate the power of women, specifically women of color, at moments like this in history?
Absolutely. We've never had a lot of money. That was not what made us resilient. It was our faith. It was our belief that made us resilient. We're not going to win everybody over, but I think the more she get out and speak to America, people are going to see that this woman is prepared as any white man would be that they could choose.
As she showed me around her home filled with photographs and memories of all the lives she had impacted in politics, religion, and throughout the civil rights movement, Dr. Dukes said she hoped her legacy would live on long after she did. And tonight, we already see that playing out. A life well lived. We will, of course, have continuing coverage as Dr. Hazel Dukes is laid to rest and bring you those stories on air and streaming on CBS News New York. Flames shoot from a FedEx cargo plane as it made an emergency landing at Newark Airport this morning. The Boeing 767 returned to the airport shortly after taking off and striking a bird around 8 a.m. Port Authority says no one was hurt and that the fire was contained to the plane's engine. Air traffic was briefly halted as firefighters responded. FedEx is thanking the quick actions of the flight crew and first responders. Now to your first alert forecast, a tale of two seasons today, Vanessa. We began the day with spring-like weather, and we will soon be below freezing. Well, tell us what's going on here.
Well, what's going on is a powerful cold front has raked across the region, didn't bring a lot of moisture, but is bringing back winter. 64 was the high temperature at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, we're at about 40 degrees, and temperatures will continue to fall overnight until we land in the 20s. A 40-plus degree temperature swing in roughly 12 hours. As we look at temperatures right now, 23 in Monticello, it is 40 in Babylon, 40 in Brick, 39 in Bridgewater, but the winds are cranking. Real feel, 21 in Sparta, feels like 30 in the Park, 31 the wind chill in Greenwich right now, and it feels like 18 in Monticello. Overnight, we're going to bottom out at 22 in the Park. Wind chills overnight, 7 below well northwest to a real feel of roughly 15 in the Park. Then tomorrow, your high is just 33 degrees. Sunshine, still breezy, feels like the 20s. Again, it was 64 degrees today. Yes, and we are already flirting with the 30s.
Yeah, well, definitely weather whiplash. Vanessa, thank you. Now to the West Village, where police are investigating a deadly shooting. It happened just before 3:30 this morning at Tom and Jerry's bar on Elizabeth Street. Police tell us a man was sitting inside the bar when he was shot multiple times from someone outside. He was taken to the hospital where he died. The NYPD is searching for a man wearing a black coat, gray hooded sweatshirt, dark pants, and white shoes. Still ahead at 7, an update on the Pope's condition amid his ongoing health battle. How he's doing tonight after a breathing crisis yesterday set back his recovery. Plus, mold and rats inside a Brooklyn apartment building. Now residents are fighting back. And a Citigroup error mistakenly credits tens of trillions of dollars to one customer. We'll explain what happened there. And Larry is in for Steve tonight with a look at sports. Hey, Larry.
It was not me.
Oh.
It's not me. All right. The injury bug keeps hitting the Yankees down at spring training, while Giancarlo Stanton will miss the start of the season. Plus, it took a minute for St. John's to get started at the Guard, but they are partying, folks, like it's 1985. How the Johnnies captured their first Big East title. That's later in sports.
David Johansen, the frontman of the band The New York Dolls, has died. He was the last surviving member of the band that helped bring punk music to the masses. Johansen later went solo, sporting a pompadour and performing under the name Buster Poindexter. The Staten Island native died yesterday at his home here in the city. A family spokesperson said he was diagnosed earlier this year with stage 4 cancer and a brain tumor. Johansen was 75 years old. Residents rallied in Red Hook today, demanding their landlord make repairs to what they call long-neglected apartments. Brooklyn Legal Services Corporation joined tenants in front of the building on Dwight Street. They say leaks, mold, rodents, and a lack of heat are just some of the problems.
Today, we are here to fight for our rights and to fight for our property that we've loved and that we've grown families and witness just hold so many memories here for us.
Tenants say the management group Carroll Gardens Association plans to demolish and redevelop the building starting this summer. They want guarantees they'll have a right to a unit once construction is complete. We reached out to Carroll Gardens Association for a comment, but so far have not heard back. Pope Francis continues to require non-invasive ventilation as he recovers from double pneumonia in a Rome hospital. However, the Vatican says the Pope did spend long periods of time off ventilation today with less need for high-flow supplemental oxygen. The 88-year-old is still awake, and we're told he is aware of his condition. Still ahead, Citigroup mistakenly gives one customer much more than they were supposed to. We're talking tens of trillions of dollars more. And our brief spring fling is over with a harsh return to bitterly cold temperatures. Vanessa is back after the break with how long the freezing weather will stick around in your First Alert forecast. Citigroup made a majorly costly error before reversing course. The bank accidentally credited a customer's account with $81 trillion instead of $280. The bank quickly reversed the transaction. This all happened last April, and Citi says a payment that size could not have actually been executed. It would have been stopped before any funds left the bank. Still trying to figure out how you go from 280 to 81. It doesn't. Well, yeah, that's just like a bunch of additional zeros, right?
Yes.
But you'd think it would be 28 trillion. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. It was like, no harm, no foul, I guess.
No.
One person very excited for about 10 minutes.
I know. See all those zeros?
Yeah, I cannot relate. All right, let's talk about the weather. Very nice today. Boy, was it nice. The first half of the day being out. Man, it really felt like spring.
I know. We were catapulted into the 60s, and just as quickly, we're getting whiplashed back down even lower than we have been of late. We're talking about temperatures dropping into the 20s, real feels in the teens, and single digits. Hope you enjoyed the 60s today. Highs around the region this afternoon. It was 64 in the Park. We topped out at 53 in Islip, 63 for Somerville, 56 in Monticello, noting the normal high is 45. The high today nearly 20 degrees above that. But tomorrow, your high is just 33 degrees with wind chills struggling to get out of the teens into the 20s. Right now, we're down to 37 degrees in the Park, a rapid drop off throughout the day today. Again, 64 now to 37. As we look at your weather headlines, winter is obviously back. We're going to stay frigid till Monday. Then it's 50s again on Tuesday, Wednesday, a first alert weather day. A powerful front, this one bringing with it wet weather, windy weather too, will be rolling on through, and there is the chance of some isolated severe thunderstorms and winds powerful enough to create some very isolated issues. That's Wednesday. Tonight, the cold is already invading us. 19 in Buffalo, 37 here. I show you this just to show you the Arctic air that is plunging in as we speak. Wind gusts at this moment in time up to 40 miles per hour in White Plains. Through the midnight hour, at least, winds are powerful, 30 to 40 miles per hour. Those real feels will continue to drop into single digits for most of us overnight. Meanwhile, to the south of the city, a few sprinkles earlier tonight across Ocean County. Now, though, we're drying skies out there. High pressure is building in. It's sunshine tomorrow, but again, breezy still. It's going to feel so cold. Tomorrow morning, when you step outside, here's what it feels like under bright skies. 13 in the Park, 2 in Woodbury, 8 in Islip, 8 in Somerville, 7 below. 7 below in Monticello. Then with highs of 33 degrees tomorrow, it's going to feel like the upper teens as well as 20s at best tomorrow. Tons of sunshine. I'm trying to click through these graphics as quickly as I can. 33 tomorrow with sun, wind chills teens, and maybe 20. Monday, 38, feeling a little better out there with sunshine. Tuesday, we're at 50. Wednesday, a first alert weather day with some whipping winds and some rain, 57. And then temperatures fall back down, but back to seasonable. Not back to the dregs of winter.
That's good.
Yes.
Sort of a happy medium.
I agree.
All right. Thanks, Vanessa. Still ahead, a big bat will be absent from the Yankees lineup on opening day, and the Johnnies are kings of New York. We'll have highlights from the Garden up next in sports.
This is CBS Sports New York, sponsored by your local Ford stores.
Larry Ridley sitting down with us tonight. We always love it when Larry's here. Starting out at the Garden?
Yes, we're starting at the Garden. What about the Kings of New York, St. John's? Man, they talked about at the beginning of the season. They wanted to win the Big East, and folks, they've done it. The stars were aligned for St. John's this Saturday afternoon. A sold-out Madison Square Garden featuring a whiteout with the head man Rick Pitino donning the all-white suit. You knew it was a special occasion, folks. All the Johnnies had to do was take care of the lowly Seton Hall Pirates, and they would win their first Big East regular season title since '85, and they did it. But boy, the Hall made them earn it. The Pirates are not making it easy on the Johnnies. Seton Hall will be sitting home tournament time, so this was their title game, trying to pull off the upset of St. John's. Pirates down 2 with under 9 to play, but St. John's wasn't going to let the kids in the Hall spoil their day. 3 Red Storm players in double digits, including Davon Smith. The Johnnies, well, they're known for their D, and they allowed just 9 points the rest of the way. Johnnies on the spot here. R.J. Lewis Jr. with the steal and the deal. Punches it home. Lewis Jr. game high 21. Johnnies winning by 10, capturing their first outright regular season Big East title in 40 years. St. John's is once again New York's team.
I know New York. I know when you lose, You're not supposed to be part of the team. It's the greatest city in the world. It's a city of winners. It's a city of tough people.
Of New York, another New York team. The NYU women's basketball is another tough team on the court. They finished the regular season a perfect 25-0 after beating Brandeis 89-58. The Violets are now 56-0 over the last 2 seasons. They will look to take their #1 ranking in the nation and run it back with another perfect season, national championship with the D3 tournament starts next week. They host the first 2 rounds of the tournament next Friday. And the men's team was just 1 win short of a perfect season. They picked up their 24th win of the season, beating Brandeis 94-76. They're the #2 ranked team in men's D3 basketball. They have a possibility of hosting the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 at the Paulson Center. All right, the baseball now. The Yankees making it official today. Giancarlo Stanton will start the season on the injured list. Big G, who has recently been tending to a personal matter, also has been dealing with tennis elbow in both arms during his rehab. Stanton has received PRP, or platelet-rich plasma injections. Yankees swinging with the Astros. Aaron Judge making a spring debut and getting right into the swing of things. 2 RBI single in the first at bat there. 3-1 pinstripers in the third. Ben Rice, how about him? Flex his pecs. Here in the fourth, Yankees prospect hit 7 of those during his call-up last year. Yankees hammer the Stros 9-3 the final. Mets only sending a handful of their regulars to face the Rays. Scary moment for Luis Acuna there, the Mets prospect. Had to leave after getting drilled on his left arm. Mets say he will be okay. Meanwhile, Jose Siri, hey Siri, doing some drilling of his own. Donate, elevate. Round trip there against his former team. Mets top the Rays 10-1. And finally, let's chill out for a bit. Islanders and Predators. Isles up 2 in the closing ticks. Nashville pulls their goalie for the man advantage, and that's a disadvantage. Nashville dumped it into their net. The goalie officially goes to goalie Ilya Sorokin. Islanders win it 7-4.
My kids love saying "Hey Siri" all the time to play random songs.
How about those Johnnies, though, man?
They were amazing.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Got the 7th best odds to win the national title, so we'll see.
I think they can do it. Thank you, Larry. That does it for the news at 7. Thanks so much for having us in. We will all be back tonight at 11 o'clock. Sure hope you will be too. Have a great evening.